Well, amid the escalating tensions in West Asia and the worsening situation in Gaza, a delegation of Arab Foreign Ministers is set to visit Delhi this week to discuss the ongoing crisis. And at the same time, the BRICS Plus grouping is also holding a virtual summit to discuss the Israel-Hamas conflict. The delegation's proposed visit to India is part of their global tour to meet representatives of the 5 permanent UNSC members and other countries to pile up pressure on the West to reject Israel's justification of its actions in Gaza. The delegates are from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Indonesia, Palestinian-occupied territories and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, among others. Earlier, the delegation visited China, where they extracted Beijing's support to push for an end to hostilities and to allow humanitarian aid into the devastated Palestinian enclave. Meanwhile, South Africa is hosting a virtual summit of the BRICS grouping of nations to discuss the Israel-Hamas war and to draw up a common response to the more than 6-week conflict. The Russian President Vladimir Putin has confirmed he will be attending the summit virtually, while India will be represented by India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Leaders from Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran and United Arab Emirates, who are also due to join the BRICS grouping in January 2024, are also part of this meeting. And listen in to what WION's Skalden Ongmu had to say, who's been tracking all the latest developments from Johannesburg.
Ramaphosa will deliver opening remarks, where member and invited states will also deliver country statements on the current humanitarian crisis in Gaza. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres will also participate in the virtual meeting, and at the end of which leaders are expected to adopt a joint statement on the situation in the Middle East with particular reference to Gaza. If you remember, earlier this month, Iran Foreign Minister had written to BRICS nations to intervene in the Israel-Hamas conflict and demanded that the dire situation in Gaza be put on the bloc's agenda. This is Skalden Ongmu from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.
And now we're being joined by Siddhant Sibal, our diplomatic correspondent, for the very latest on the Arab nations outreach. And Siddhant, what can we expect during this meeting between the Arab nations and India? What sort of leverage are they looking for with the Indian government?
Well, the delegation is expected to travel to India. The conversations are still on, but essentially it is an outreach by the Arab world towards New Delhi, and just not India, but also other global capitals. Remember, this delegation has already been to Beijing and has been to Moscow as well. And India has several times reiterated its stance over the ongoing conflict. Not only India has termed the Hamas attack as a terror attack, condemning it, but also said that humanitarian laws should be followed in Gaza. In fact, in approximately 15 minutes from now, we will see the BRICS virtual summit being hosted by South Africa, in which India's External Affairs Minister will be present and talk about India's position. And remember, India has also sent humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, to the Palestinians, since the conflict started on 7th of October, the retaliation by the Israeli side. But essentially which side India will be going is well known. It is the side of peace, and as the Indian External Affairs Minister talked about today, that India wants the two-state solution. That is the only solution forward.
Right, and thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest there on the Arab nations tour to many countries, including India, for a humanitarian pause, among other things.